Yo, 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 this is DPS podcast. That's Damage Per Second podcast. Back on a fine Thursday night, feeling all right. I am one of your hosts, SloMoBackSlap, with the other host here, Mr. Gaming Forte. We're about to get started on a very interesting show because as you see, the topics list is pretty small, but we're gonna have a lot to speak about this that main topic there at the end. So buckle up, because it's gonna get it's gonna get pretty serious. Forte, what you been up to, sir? I haven't talked to you since you went on vacation, man. How's it going, man? What you been up to?
Vacation? Oh no, man. Driving.
No, you would. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you had to drive, but like that was vacation, right?
Yeah.
Or what was
No, it wasn't vacation.
Okay,
it was a
yeah.
wedding, it was a wedding we were going to, which was kind of a vacation. But you know how it is when you get a bunch of family from both sides together, and a lot of chaos ensues. But it was great. I had fun. Yeah. So left to go. So my week went from last week Wednesday. We had the Midnight for Pokemon ZA. I stayed for the Pokemon ZA Midnight to get my copy of the game, and then I got on the road at 3 a.m. to drive to Madison, Georgia, which is like probably 45 minutes outside of Atlanta and 20 minutes away from Athens, where University of Georgia was at.
Mhm.
So went there for a wedding. Wedding was awesome, phenomenal. Wedding was on Saturday, so we got there a day earlier. So we got there Thursday afternoon, and hung out with family on Thursday, did a couple of things. When I went to Papados, the seafood place, man, that food is so phenomenal. But yeah, that was super fun. My youngest daughter stayed home because my mom came up from the Virgin Islands to stay with her because she had band, and they had a lot of competition stuff. Like, that was the first week of their competitions, so she didn't want to miss it. And we told her, like, her uncle called her and said, "Yo, listen, that's serious. That band is for real. You can go to school off that." So she made the decision to stay. So she had fun doing that. It was weird not having my kid there, and I've never had a feeling where I was missing like so much stuff. Like, I've been to like all her activities, like all the band stuff. I went to everything. Like, tomorrow they have a football game, and then Saturday they go to the game. It's the semi-state championship, so the semifinals. How they place in this is how they place at the state championship, which is November 1st. So I'm driving 2 hours Saturday. I took Saturday off work. I'm driving 2 hours away to DeWitt, Michigan, and that's where they're going to perform at. Basically, to watch her go for 15 minutes, because that's all they have is 15 minutes that they perform for. Of course, I'm gonna stay and watch some of the other bands and stuff, because who's gonna drive 2 hours to just sit there for 15 minutes? So I'll probably be at there like an hour and a half, 2 hours looking at that stuff. But it's for real, bro. But went there, handled all that stuff, and then drove home on Monday. Buc-ee's is the greatest place on the planet. Just to let everybody know that if you don't know, you need to know. Buc-ee's is incredible.
You told us last week.
I told you I was looking forward to stopping at Buc-ee's. Hey, bro, let me tell you, I spent maybe almost $200 at Buc-ee's going there and back altogether. Like, I bought so much beef jerky, it was kind of crazy. But yeah, that was fun. But if I had to talk about the gaming side of it, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Legends ZA. I am 43 hours in, bro, because that's the only game I played.
How do you feel about, like, I've heard so much negative stuff about that game.
The game's ugly as hell.
Like,
the game's ugly. You can't hide that.
So you remember, like, years ago, right, when people were like, well, the reason why Pokemon looks so bad and performs so bad is because the hardware is so bad.
No.
Because it was on Switch 1. And then, and they were like, once they get better hardware, these games are going to look and run better, yada, yada, yada. And then we get ZA and it's some Butte. Because it's just like, it's still ugly and it
Ugly.
still doesn't run great. So like, it's Game Freak, right? That's the developer, right?
It is Game Freak.
So can we just call it? Just call it. Like they suck. You just like we can just stop kind of making excuses for them. Say, hey, well, maybe this, maybe that. Maybe they need a little bit more. No, how about they just suck? That makes sense.
Well, I think they suck in the graphical department, but I don't think the game sucks. The game is actually pretty good.
But and thank you, Glennstone, in the chat. They have another game that's coming out that's not and
Pokemon.
That one
looks
not
great.
Pokemon and looks great. So okay, let's reframe then. I'm sorry, rephrase this. Is it the team with Game Freak that sucks with Pokemon, or is it just Nintendo is like, we don't care?
I seen a lot of, and this is the thing that I don't agree with. I see a lot of back and forth. And if this is the case, shame on them, because they tried to say, like, there's a lot of rumors out there to say that Game Freaks didn't have the dev kits in time for Pokemon ZA to be developed. And I'm calling cap on that, because Nintendo is a 33% partnership between the companies that own Pokemon. Game Freaks has 33% of it, Nintendo has 33% of it, and the Pokemon company has the other 33%. So it's a mutual thing that everybody comes to the table to make sure that we're putting the best product on the field when it comes to the games, the cards, and everything. Nintendo handles the game side with Game Freaks, and Pokemon handles the card distribution and everything with the license that they have from Nintendo and Game Freaks to be able to do it. And that rumor being out there saying that they didn't get dev kits, I call cap, bro. There is no way that a billion, not even a billion, a few billion, more than a couple of $1 billion franchise, one of the best selling games that's ever, I think if you look at the Pokemon franchise in general, it is probably, without even knowing about numbers and stuff on it, it's probably the most successful IP ever. It's probably the highest selling IP of all time across all the games that it's ever made. So there's no way that that's true. So I call cap on eBay saying that. But I did kind of laugh when I saw that they were making the other game, and I was like, bro, so Game Freaks can make an actual decent looking game. They just choose not to do it with Pokemon. And I knew
they don't need to. They don't need to. They don't, exactly. You still bought it anyway.
No,
so
I told people
there is no need to do more when people will buy it anyway. So like, why spend more money? Like, why spend more money on higher fidelity, spend more time, spending more time optimizing the game, making it run better? Why do all that when you're just going to lose money by doing it? Because the same number of people who are going to buy it, whether it's a buggy, poor performing, ugly mess, are the same people that are going to buy it if you actually, put some time into it. So they're just like, yeah, no, we're good, man.
Well, at some point that river is going to run dry. I do think that at a certain point, but I said this when they first announced the game, and I knew I was still going to buy the game, but I was like, why can't they make a good looking game? Because I was disappointed too. But I love Mega Evolutions. I love the overall appeal, and I love the gameplay mechanics that it has and stuff. So I was still going to buy it, because you don't buy Pokemon for the way that the game looks. You buy it because of the experience and just because of the nostalgia of just the whole catch 'em all, mentality and everything. But at some point, you gotta do something about those graphics, bro. It is borderline.
Great point.
Go ahead.
Another great point by Glenn Stone in the chat. Nintendo would rather send their lawyer ninjas after anybody that provides remotely any competition than actually make the game better.
Make the game better. I agree.
Because like you would think that, like, man, this should be like when you have so many people who are just, they feel emboldened to continue to keep buying the game because they're Pokemon crackheads, right? Mm-hmm. But the game, they got all these complaints about it, but like you would think that that's ripe for competition, but Nintendo has done everything in their that they can legally to make sure that there's nothing even remotely close to what this game is, even actually putting in patents that really shouldn't even be allowed, considering that some of they are claiming that the game design feature that they're patenting is like did not originate with Pokemon. So it's just like,
Right.
what are you doing? So it really comes down to they would rather spend the money on the lawyers than spend the money on making a better game, which I mean in the long run it is probably cheaper, but
It definitely
man,
is cheaper.
what it has to come down to, yeah, it's absolutely not right. But what comes down to is that Pokemon fans like yourself need to just have a backbone. You just need to go, I'm not getting it this year because this is garbage, and I'm tired of you giving me garbage and telling me it's flowers. But when that happens, who knows? Are you? Is that everything you've been playing?
No, outside of that, Battlefield, I was playing on my laptop. I did play that a little bit while I was on the internet wasn't as stable. The only thing what I really hate about new gen gaming, even when it comes to the campaign for Battlefield, you can't even play it offline. You have to be online.
Yeah.
And that sucks because the internet, like now when I was at my brother-in-law's house where he had stable internet, perfectly fine. But I wasn't about to pay, the premium charge at the hotel room where they say, oh, your hotel comes with, complimentary Wi-Fi. But if you want premium Wi-Fi, you got to pay like $7 or $6 extra a day. And then you'll be able to get faster internet. And I'm like, we're not doing that. No, not just to sit here and play Battlefield for probably an hour and a half until I fall asleep. No. So I tried to play a little bit. I was only able to do that when I was at my brother-in-law's house. I played for like probably 5 or 6 hours on Sunday night before we got up and had to leave to come home the next day. So I got a little bit of time into that. But outside of that, yeah, Battlefield, Pokemon, yeah, literally I put 37 hours in on the game over the weekend because I got it on Thursday. I drove for the most part the first 6 hours on Thursday night or Thursday morning. And then I played for like 4 hours before I fell asleep on the other half of the drive. And then on, I think, Friday night, I played like another 7 or 8 hours. And then I played a lot on after the wedding on Saturday. And then I played predominantly all the way home on Monday morning, minus the 4 hours I drove. So that's where most of my time, and then I played a little bit since I've been home, but that's kind of it. But I enjoy the game. The game's cool. I really like it. I like the aesthetic of it. But when I say the aesthetic, not that aesthetic, not the look of the game. It's too many flat textures. It's like, dude, why does this game? And I'm gonna say another thing. Last thing I'll say about this, and then that is what I'm done with. Outside of the graphics, the other thing that really irritates me, and some people are going to say it's the charm. The whole saying, "Oh, the game, that's the charm of the game." We wanted to be the origin. We wanted to originate from what everybody's used to. F that. Can we please finally get voice acting or something in these games? Wow. Can they finally just stop doing the time nook?
It's the bare minimum, man.
Yeah, can we stop?
It's the bare minimum. Not having voice acting is wild.
Well, they're talking. What is the thing? They're talking about how they want AI. Like, dude, you can literally just put words into an AI generator and literally do AI voice inside of these games instead of just text. Now, does it bother me? No, because I'm used to the games having it. But as soon as it started doing it at the I think it just hits harder when you buy a brand new game and the first thing you're greeted with is text on the screen, and it's like, oh, I got to read this instead of it just talking. Because you know what games did do something like that? They did kind of a mixture of both. Octopath Traveler. When you first turn on Octopath Traveler, the first one, you are greeted with the character talking, having voiceover lines. Even when you're in a city, you're having conversations and you're talking, and then they go back and forth between you just reading the text and it being voice acted out. That is a happy median. I didn't mind that. But when I turned this game on, the first thing I saw was bubble text on the screen. I'm like, oh, here we go. And so that kind of irritated me too a little bit, because I think in 2025, with this whole push towards AI and you want to push voice actors out the door, the least, if you're going to do something like that, the least you could do is give us AI generated voices and allow it to be like spoken into the game. Doesn't have to be any individual that we know or anything, but it's just wild that in 2025, from a company that makes billions of dollars on every game that they make, that's where we are. But even with that being said, I still enjoy the game, but I just want more. And I do believe at some point, SloMo, the well is going to run dry, and they're going to have to, and they better not wait till that happens, because if people fall out of love with the games that they care about the most because they want to be cheap and short-sighted and not give people that better experience, they're going to allow something else to come along and capture those people. And when they decide to do it, we already know if you decide to do it at this certain time, it might be too late. So
very true.
That's
very
all I
true.
have to say. But other than that, man, my week has been great. I've been enjoying watching Twitter burn. I've been enjoying watching Xbox come out and talk all these different things, and everybody try to make sense of what Xbox is saying. I enjoyed the ROG Ally X reviews and stuff that were out there. Ninja Gate and Forte came out, really enjoying the people's view on that. I haven't got a chance to play it yet. I did install it on Game Pass. I forgot that was on Game Pass. I don't know why I forgot. I was going to buy it, but then I was like, oh shoot, I got Game Pass. I got Game Pass on PC. So I just downloaded it like 20 minutes ago. So I'm going to play it. So I'll be able to speak to that more next week when we are on here. But yeah, it's just been a real interesting week, SloMo.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy. If you've been paying attention to the channel, I did a couple live streams. I did a live stream last, I think Saturday it was. It may have been Friday or Saturday. I did a stream for the Outer Worlds 1, and I call it the Dum build, because my my character, and I showed a little bit of gameplay of it. I've dedicated 0 points to intelligence with him. So he literally has dialogue options in the narrative tree that are just called dumb, because he's dumb. And so when people make analogies, or they get a little funny, a little quirky comments, and a little condescending, he misses all that stuff. He doesn't get any of it. And every time the dumb option comes up, I am compelled to choose it to see what happens. And for the most part, it's people just kind of looking at you with the blank stare, like, I can't believe this guy's this stupid, right? Your crew over time just will start to interject for you and go like, yeah, look, hey, the captain's a bit, look, don't worry about that. They try to save you. Other times it may actually end up becoming situations where it'll close you out from particular quests. For example, I went to a town. There were 3 different people at the town that I had to speak to, and then do some things to kind of complete a quest. You can still complete the quest for this particular character, despite the results that occurred with that. But essentially, I went to a character. He's like a blacksmith or something, or he was like a engineer, and I startled him when I came up with him, and he said something to the effect of, "What are you trying to kill me?" And the dumb option was, "No, but I can."
No, but I can.
And then he says,
bro.
And then he says, "Yeah, sure. Just go ahead and bludgeon me to death." And literally, like he's kidding. He's kidding.
Yeah.
And the dumb option was, Okay.
Okay.
And I just chose it and I bludgeoned this guy to death. And I got locked out of that portion of the quest line, and I just could like it's funny the level of detail they put into things like that. My character is basically unkillable. I've put all of my points in the gameplay that I showed. It's a little bit earlier than where I currently am right now. I'm unkillable right now. I have it on the hardest difficulty, and it doesn't really matter because I put a ton of points into melee, two-handed and one-handed melee.
Mhm.
The kind of perks that I have, every time I activate that little I forgot what it's called, it's TTL, but it's like that's the short form way to describe it, but essentially it's like slowing down time.
Mhm.
um it's like the same device in Cyberpunk, but you have to level it up or get other perks to make it so that when you slow down time, you're moving normally where everyone else is moving in slow motion. I'm
Mhm.
doing like double the damage when I do that, and every time I hit someone with a melee weapon, 15% of the damage that I do to other people comes back to health as me. So I literally don't even need my companions at this point. I
Okay.
can just run into a room, get overwhelmed, and murder everyone because they don't do enough damage to me before I'm healing all that back as I'm damaging them. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun, just being this big, huge Neanderthal that just is an
Bludgeons
idiot,
people.
but can just get through literally everything. Um, the games of the Outer Worlds one's a bit underrated, man.
Oh, I
I,
I
I
I
I've
heard it is. I haven't played it myself, but I heard
yeah,
it is very underrated.
like I played it when it first came out back in 2019, and the reason why I'm playing it again before Outer Worlds 2 comes out next week is that I really just forgot so much about the game that I didn't feel comfortable going into a sequel that takes place in the same. Like I don't think it's the same character. I think it's a new character, but like this, I'm fairly certain it's going to rely on a lot of the narrative and lore of the things that occurred in the first game, and it may or may not explain those things to you again. Regardless, I didn't feel comfortable going into the game knowing that I basically only remembered like a few highlights
Right.
of what occurred. But I'm playing through it, writing. The combat's not great. I'm having fun with the build I have, but the shooting is very
Is it worse than
mediocre.
Fallout? Is it worse than the
Uh,
VAT
n-
system?
nah, it's not that bad. But it's
Okay.
it's not good either. It's not good. And the VAT system is, I mean, that like it was bad back in the day, but
I heard it's
it was
better
also
now.
back in the day. Um,
Well,
it,
they
but
don't
with
really
mods, I'm
better.
sure. With mods, I'm
Yeah,
sure it's better.
right.
But like,
Yeah, with mods it's a
but
lot better.
for a game to come out in 2019 like that, the shooting in Outer Worlds 1 is not great. And I know that we're going to talk about Outer Worlds 2 a little bit later because there's some I've seen some comments from reviewers in regards to stuff like that. But I'm having a great time. I never did a DLCs because when those expansions came out, the two expansions for Outer Worlds 1, I had already beat the game twice, so I never went back to them. And now that like I'm playing through the game again, I'm essentially near the end of the game. I know I only need to do maybe like two more things before I can go into the point of no return. I'm just going to focus solely on those two DLCs that I haven't experienced yet and really enjoy those before I get into beating the game and being ready for the sequel. Uh, I did do a stream like 2 hours at the beginning of that. I also yesterday streamed Dispatch, which is made by Ad Hoc Studios, and they're former Telltale developers. The lead writer for Dispatch was the lead writer for A Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale Batman game, basically the best written stuff that Telltale did. And this
Right.
game is really good. This game is really dope. Like it's like an evolution of what Telltale games were. And sure, you can't really like technically move around. You're not really controlling the main character in that way. There's a lot of QTE events and puzzles and stuff like that. But the story's really engaging. The characters are dope. The voice acting is great, and it's extremely well written. Definitely check out the stream if you haven't, because it was a good time. And the way they're doing it, it's like only $30. It's episodic. It's supposed to be 8 total episodes, and they're coming out 2 episodes per week. So yesterday was the first 2 episodes. Next Wednesday would be episodes 3 and 4. Then week after that, 5 and 6, so on and so on until they got all the episodes out. But I think it's very well done. Like they got like Aaron Paul from the Breaking Bad voices the main character. He does an awesome job. Laura Bailey, who's in everything, is she's the blonde blazer. She's like one of the superheroes. And then you got like a lot of big name people who are in a lot of the other roles, and everyone does a good job. It's very well done and high quality in that. I didn't deal with any bugs, and I really do find like the actual gameplay, the game design of it to be pretty engaging, because essentially you are a dispatcher. You're a former hero who now is forced to retire. And now you have a job as a dispatcher for a company where you dispatch heroes into situations where they're supposed to go do heroic stuff. But your squad is somewhat of a problem, because they are all full of former supervillains, and they're kind of screw ups. It's like the Suicide Squad kind of. And the humor's there. They're hilarious. But it's like you get some really tense situations where you got multiple calls that you're trying to juggle and find the right hero for the right situation. If you send the wrong hero, it can fail. Some of it, like again, they're a bunch of screw ups. Sometimes they don't want to listen to you. Sometimes they may actually cause the issues that you need to go fix. And so there's a lot going on there, in addition to the animation being really good. It's like I liken it to like how Hi-Fi Rush looks in art style, but maybe not quite as good as Hi-Fi Rush's animation, but it's good. It's good. It's a good time. And it's only $30. So I recommend everyone give it a try if you've enjoyed a Telltale game sometime in the past. What else? I've almost completed the battle pass for Fortnite. Okay. I just got the Green Ranger unlocked finally. So yeah, I've been doing, a little bit of Fortnite here and there. And then I also have been doing Battlefield. We have yet to play Battlefield together. So we gotta rectify that.
We need to rectify
but I've been playing some Battlefield, with Audible, Erica's for the win. Hadn't talked to Erica in a while. And T-Rock, and that was pretty hilarious. It was a pretty hilarious night. I think some of them were not all the way sober, or may have been a little taking some gummies and some stuff. All kinds of comments and wild stuff was going on. It was great. It was a good time. I've been as I typically do when I play shooters. I'm still on the main weapon that I've been using from the start, the M4A1, because I want to max it out before I move on to the next one. I think the next one I want to do is an LMG.
What level?
18 or 19, I think.
Oh, okay. You put work in.
Yeah. I mean, not too much. I feel like it should be higher, but there's so many games. This month has been so packed full of games. Sir. Well, I mean, you haven't been home, so I think you get a pass on that.
Yeah, I plan on putting a lot of work in over the weekend. Getting caught up.
But that's been about it. I anticipate playing, getting more and more time with it as I start to knock out some of these games, especially when I beat Outer Worlds 1. I think there'll be some time before I have to do Outer Worlds 2 before that releases, unless I get a key, because I did put in for a key, so I don't know if they'll give it to me at this point. But if they don't give me a key early, and I know Dispatch doesn't drop again until next Wednesday, that's just more time for me to play Battlefield 6. So I'll be on there. I think that's about it, man. Anything else you want to say before we move on to these rapid fire topics, bro?
Let's do it.
Oh, really?
Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals has added a PvE zombie mode that came out today. Now, I haven't personally played it because I haven't personally played Marvel Rivals, and it's been some months now, which I feel like I'm not the only one, considering that Marvel Rivals' active player base has dropped 85% since launch, which I think, potentially might be the reason why NetEase decided to kind of, somewhat decided to look into creating a zombie mode, because you know what comes out fairly soon? Call of Duty. And what does Call of Duty have? A zombie mode. And quite a few people know that a lot of the Call of Duty Warzone players drop Call of Duty to go play Marvel Rivals when Black Ops 6 really disappointed them. And I just kind of wonder, potentially maybe Marvel Rivals is looking at trying to find ways to mitigate players going back over there with this new release. Forte, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, when's the last time you played Marvel Rivals?
It's had to be like spring of this year.
Okay, my daughter, she's been playing it because and the only reason she's been playing it is because she has a group that she, like, some of her band members that she plays with. She plays Marvel Rivals with. Matter of fact, I'm watching them. Yeah, right now they're watching their friend play because she's on my PC.
Hold on now.
What?
I just saw this. Let me give a moment here. Shout out to Cat Daddy Lurk.
Oh shit!
The elder cat in the house is about to drive from Chicago. Be safe, man. And this is some stuff going on in Chicago. From Chicago to Little Rock. Also be safe. Little Rock is little. Okay, just be safe, Cat.
You said be safe going where you going.
Right. He says, so no chat, but quick question. Did either of you play The Altars? I'm playing through it and I'm loving it. I did play The Altars. I didn't finish it. I thought it was all right. I like the idea. It was very unique and different. I wish I would have had more time to finish it, and maybe I will go back and finish it eventually, but I did like the whole alternate timelines with different versions of yourself, and I kind of had an idea where that was going, but didn't get enough time in it to really kind of see whether my theories came true or not. Forte, did you play it?
I played a little bit. I'm in the same boat. It was in the middle of playing a whole bunch of other stuff. But it is still something that, now that he says it, I was like, dang, I got to get back to that game. And it is something that I did enjoy. And I can see, because like the overall mechanics of the game are really, really cool. It's actually pretty refreshing when you're playing it, because I haven't played like a game like that in a while. But definitely I need to get back to it. But I'm glad you're enjoying the game, bro. And and that's a game that nobody's been talking about. Like, that game was like one of those games that people was talking about before it came out, and then it came out and nobody talked about it since. So it's good to see that people are still, and I think that's kind of the downside to the community and just gaming in general. If you're not one of these big AAA games that consistently are in the news feed and people are talking about you on social media all the time, you kind of get left behind. And the only time you would kind of get some more recognition is if your game is like a good game that got like nominated for like a really good award or something like that, and you kind of see upticks during like the end of the year during the Game Awards. But that's just one of those games that people said, oh, I'm really interested, I'm really looking forward to that game, and you don't hear anything about it anymore. And you want to know another game that's like that is Chronos. Like, I love that game.
The New Dawn.
Yeah, Chronos New. Nobody, like, everybody when they showed it was talking about, like, oh, yeah, this looks cool. I think
it's partially due to the genre of games, because both Chronos and the Altars are not like your typical fare.
Yeah, they're very
like the Altars is a very unique experience. It's got I forgot. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's base building with some other like unique features that you don't really find anywhere else. And then Chronos isn't necessarily unique, but it's a horror game, and there's just not a ton of people who are into horror games like that. Like they are a genre. But it's somewhat niche, and so even though a game can be considered, hey, that's a pretty good game, game within this genre. The genre itself isn't that big, so therefore it doesn't really get a ton of attention from the general gamers out there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man, and be safe with your drive to Little Rock, man.
Yeah, absolutely. About Rivals, I think I know a lot is being made about how they've lost 85% of their player base, but for those who play a lot of these live service games, you understand that that was inevitable. How these things go
in the first 2 weeks.
Right, like how these things go is that everyone wants to try it out.
Yeah.
And it's and what is sustainable for you to continue on making the game is different than what the peak was when it first launched and everybody wanted to see what the big deal was. And so I mean, like, Marvel Rivals is still averaging, and this is just on Steam, so this isn't everyone, but on Steam, where you can just look up what the concurrent player count is at any given time, look it up where it is right now, what the peak was for the past 24 hours, you could break that down to, you know, how many people have been playing the past month, yada, yada, yada. It's still doing 100K players on Steam by itself. Yeah. And it's not just on PC Steam, it's on Epic Games Store, you know, so it's not, and that's in addition to the fact that it's also on consoles as well. So it really isn't like the game's not in trouble, I don't think. But what they're doing with the zombie mode is what you need to do to kind of keep generating interest, keeping players engaged, or trying to get players to come back, you know, after they may have taken a break. Zombies not going to get me to come back, right? But I can see a number of people coming back to play that. What do you think about zombies bringing people back into Marvel Rivals?
No, I think it could definitely work. It just ultimately comes down to it's like a cycle. It's like 3 to 6 months. It's like, what are you doing to reinvent yourself every 3 to 6 months? And the thing about Marvel Rivals, I feel like, is they're just not keeping up with the cadence enough to be able to incite people to come back like more consistently. Like you have to have, it has to be with a game like that, you almost have to.
Let's keep it a buck.
Go ahead. What's the buck?
The Gooner material is the reason why some people are still there. Not all, because there's some people who just really enjoy playing the game. But you can tell by NetEase's marketing when they show a new character. I mean, sure, they'll show Blade, and Blade just looks dope. But when they show a female hero that they've introduced, or a new skin for the female heroes, it's very much like they're not leaning into it as hard as, like, for example, Nexon with the First Descendant. But it's almost close. It's damn near close. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. So look, they understand the audience. They understand why some of the people there. They look at that data and they see, okay, out of all our microtransactions for skins for these characters, which ones are bought more? And we're all adults here. We understand which ones are bought more.
Yeah.
You know, the Malice skin for Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, is going to get bought more than Captain America skin. You know, it just is what it is. So I think they'll be fine. You know, anything else you want to say on this before we?
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. I think it just ultimately comes down to enticing people. But then again, you say that now, and then we look at First Descendant and. Where's that at? Now this game has, I feel like, a better.
This game plays well. Right, because this game plays well. Whereas First Descendant, and look, I made a video on the SloMoBackSlap channel about the First Descendant before it came out. I was getting a lot of engagement with First Descendant videos at the time. Not too many people wanted to engage with this one, and people just, I think just people just don't like to hear something that isn't like what they want to hear, you know. But I basically said, you know, the gist of the video was I thought the game was way too similar and borrowed far too much from Warframe and Destiny, and it didn't have any really unique values for itself outside of women with big titties and big butts. And it's just like, you gotta have more than that. Like, that's okay to bring people in, but your post-launch content need to be getting an identity for your game that's outside of, you know, the games that you've drawn inspiration from. And
True.
they did not do that, in addition to not having all that great content post launch, and really taking, I would say, some of the worst elements from Warframe's monetization and being even more egregious with it. So you know, that's why now that's a game that isn't in the okay place, because the number of people playing it is nowhere near where it started out at. But it is what it is. But I think Marvel Rivals they'll be fine.
They'll be all right.
Are
You're
you
right. They'll be fine.
You ready to move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Black Ops 7 Forte. I got some stuff to tell you. Treyarch has been busy.
Okay.
They did a dev talk this week, and they announced a number of updates to Black Ops 7 that will be there when the game launches next month. They are changing some of the perks, the way some of those perks work, and also where those perks are located, and as far as the grouping that they're in. You know, for your loadout, you'll have perk 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of moving some of those perks around now. So I think that's going to change a lot of how people, which perks people use, and how they choose to use them, and what combinations that they use. And I think that was it. That was the intention. They also decided to make footsteps louder. So that's going to be right. So I think that will be getting people jumping on the Ninja perk a lot more. And now that they're kind of moving the perks around, maybe people are getting on feeling more comfortable getting Ninja, because another perk that they wanted within that perk tree is now available somewhere else. Who knows? We'll see, right? But the real, not necessarily, I would say it's somewhat controversial, but not super controversial, but kind of gets into some of the things that we've discussed in the past, is they're making changes to aim assist. And those changes are going through right now. One more thing, mantling, the wall running, so to speak, they're speeding that up and kind of making that a bit more seamless, so that people, this is what they want to do. And this is what I was doing in the beta and finding a lot of success with. They don't want you to just slide around corners. They understand that when people go around a corner, like their muscle memory is to slide around that corner. And that is kind of how, like, you'll win a lot of engagements against, you know, some casual bullet dumpster, and, you know, depending on who you're playing against, other, you know, more experienced players as well. But they want people, depending on the situation and the area and the map, to start wall running around corners as well. And in order to do that, I said wall running, I was at wall jumping, really, around those corners, and that will be more options, so that it's not literally you're just aiming at a certain location as you're going around the corner, thinking you're going to get a headshot if there's someone there. If someone wall jumped around that corner as you were going around that corner, you're probably going to lose that engagement if you're just looking for where their head would typically be. The aim assist. So they said a few weeks ago, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, that they were going to look into aim assist and potentially make some changes. And so this is the change that they decided to make. They said, and this is from what their data is saying, that in small and close engagements, controller players are slightly winning out more than mouse and keyboard players. And in long range engagements, mouse and keyboard players are slightly winning out against controller players.
Which makes sense.
Like, which should make sense, right? Right. I don't really have a problem with this. I know that a lot of people do. Now, that said, the change they're making, and once he really explained the change, the person that's playing this, the dev talk, was the main director for the game. I kind of got where they were going, and I'm cool with it. I kind of feel like this would be just basically another way to separate the skill gap. Because there's some guys out there that really just ain't all that good, but they get away with certain things because they aim assist helped them and to a degree. If you're not even like engaging in your right thumbstick to aim at someone, then like that's a problem, or you're not doing enough of it, to really make it more of a skill, and not of you're just kind of relying on the mechanics of the game to aim for you. Now you're not getting that kind of aim, that rotational aim assist, if you were not engaging in the right thumbstick in order to aim in the direction of the player that you're shooting at. And so that level of activation needs to happen in order to kind of get any kind of aim assist. And so we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully it is working exactly as intended. There are no bugs or whatever issues there with it. And there was somewhat of a conversation online about that, as you can imagine. But Forte, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that. What are your thoughts in regards to the changes they're making to aim assist?
People are gonna get butthurt about aim assist all the time because it's a double-edged sword. People that are on mouse and keyboard can't stand aim assist because they feel like it is cheating on PC, whereas it's already mouse and keyboard is just cheating in general, because it's like ridiculous how you can aim and stuff, and like especially long range engagements, you're just wherever point is. It's literally like a pick your own adventure, click and shoot. That's literally what it is. So I get that. So the thing is, they have to come up with a happy median when it comes to just the overall experience. Just like when Battlefield did their overall changes after the beta and stuff, like, changing movement, changing, bloom and stuff on weapons, all this stuff is stuff that is very, very impactful to your gameplay. If people don't know what bloom is, it's just basically when you're running around, and then just the overall field of vortex of where your gun is, basically the fire range of it and everything, plus the muzzle flash and everything that happens in front of you. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into just pulling a trigger and shooting a gun. And I don't think people really understand the ones and zeros when it comes to that. So this doesn't bother me as much, but I do think to an extent it's like that's not really what the problem with Call of Duty in my eyes is. Call of Duty is like, part of it wants to be this super realistic looking game, but the gameplay is the most arcadey as you can ever be. And,
right.
And I'm not saying that it can't have a little bit of both, because I feel, and that's the thing that I kind of prefer about Battlefield, because I think the gameplay, like the things that happen in Battlefield are pretty crazy. Like it's like on some arcade type stuff, but the overall feel and the play of the game feels realistic. It feels to the point of what you're looking at on screen. So when I'm running around a map and I get shot by a dude that just pulls his sniper rifle up that looks like it weighs 300 pounds, and he snipes me real quick, I'm like triggered at that point, because I tell it all the time, like, this is triggering. And those are the things.
Now this will fix that. What they're doing,
because
I have dealt with that before, where I've had one-on-one engagements with people when people are running around with sniper rifles like they're shotguns.
Yeah.
And I've looked at the kill cam and looked and saw the dude wasn't even looking in my direction, and he basically just ADS shot me. And the camera turned so far, like almost did a 180 turn in order to get him that shot. And it's just like, dude, it's not skill, bro. Like you're garbage. You garbage, man. But like this would definitely help that. you can tell the person in those situations wasn't even using their right thumbstick. And so this will kind of like, you need to actually be aiming at someone in order to get any kind of activation of the aim assist to aim. And so it's my bad. Go ahead and continue because I cut you off.
No, you're good. No, I think that's the biggest thing for me. So the fact that this is going to help with that is definitely a plus. I just don't feel like it's far enough. But the thing is, I don't want them to destroy the identity of the game. So small measures, little movements, even knowing there's things about the game that I can't stand, I don't want them to take away the things that people enjoyed, especially that Call of Duty was for like 15 plus years at this point. I just feel like at a certain point, kill streaks are crazy. Like the fact that people were saying we want where the kill streaks in Battlefield, I'm like, please don't.
Yeah, no. Go play Call of Duty if you want kill streaks.
Yeah, you want kill streaks. Please go play Call of Duty. That's Call of Duty for you. But the thing is, like, I've always been like, what, in my eyes, the best version of Call of Duty? Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2. I felt like those were the three best when it came to like the overall gameplay versus the packages and systems they gave you in order to engage with the game.
You mean like old school, like the very first Modern Warfare 2, right?
That's Modern Warfare. Yeah, Modern Warfare 2. Not the new ones. No, heck no. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, the original ones that Vince Appella made, and then the original Black Ops 2 from Treyarch.
Thank you, Glenn Stone. I actually, we talked about this last week, but I'll go ahead and reiterate it because Glenn Stone in the chat mentioned this. They are doing persistent lobbies now. So
yes.
What that means is, like, if you got a good group, you had a great match, it was very competitive, came down to the wire. Let's say, you were on the losing side of it, and you want to play them again. You want some get back, right?
Some get back.
They're having persistent lobbies now where it doesn't just dismantle the entire lobby and put you in with a whole group of players. And if you play Call of Duty enough, you kind of notice that, like, you would get some of that anyway. Like you would get some persistent lobbies, but it wasn't really to the degree that people wanted. And so they're definitely doing something with that as well.
They would disband the lobby, then you would hope they would put you back together, and sometimes they would.
Yeah. And also the skill-based matchmaking has been lessened
that's
significantly.
Great.
And I can attest to how good it felt to not have a sweat fest in every single match. And kind of have a little bit more balanced with the lobbies. And I understand, I know why they're doing this. It's because it's competition from Battlefield. That's why they're doing all this. But that's another reason why I'm happy about Battlefield 6, because it kind of forced their hand. Because for years they've been lying to people, claiming that there was nothing wrong with their skill-based matchmaking, and it clearly was a problem. There was definitely something wrong with it when it's so strict, but also kind of dumb in its logic, where it's trying to balance the lobby out. And Halo Infinite had the same issue, by the way, where let's say you're playing by yourself, and I'm just going to throw some arbitrary numbers out here of, like, I don't know if it's if I call it if it's OI or whatever the term is for how they determine what your skill is. I forgot the exact term.
Yeah,
thank you. Like, I don't know the exact numbers of it, but and it's different for each game. But let's say out of 10, your ELO was an 8. If you're playing by yourself, what they will end up doing is putting you in a lobby with, like, a bunch of players, and on the other team, they'll be like all 6s or 7s. Yep. You're an 8, so your skill level's better than theirs. But on your team, you got a bunch of 5, 4, 3s. And so the way their algorithm works, because you're an 8, it balanced out. So this is even, but that's not even, because the other team is clearly better than all 5 of your players, and they're getting dog walked. But you're doing good. So you'll have a great match, but you lose.
Yep.
Or and that's frustrating. Or you're having a decent match, but none of your teammates are ever alive. And
Right.
so
Why y'all keep
so
dying?
it's stuff like that I've seen with multiples of games where they have really strict skill-based matchmaking, and they lessen that halfway through the beta. So like when they had the beta a couple weekends ago, they lessened it like within like the first few days of it, and it was like night and day. Like had really fun matches. Did I always win? No. Was I dominating every single time? No. But it was fun. You know, it was competitive, and it wasn't just the same like really repetitive kind of matches over and over and over again that just end up being frustrating or really kind of forcing you to have to play in a group in order to try to mitigate those issues. And what I'm hoping is that, because I didn't really get a chance in the beta to play with other people, I'm hoping that this will be a way to kind of help bridge some of the issues there are with playing with friends. Because playing with friends that don't have the same skill level as you, and I'm not trying to make myself sound like I'm the best Call of Duty player in the world. I'm nowhere near that. But when I'm playing with some of my personal friends who don't want to play with me because they say when they play by themselves, they can get double-digit kills. When they play with me, they feel like they want to uninstall the game. Or, you know, with some of the people we know have said the same thing. Like, that's just not fun. Because I would like to play with people and everyone's having a good time versus just, you know, a couple of people, or it's just not fun because you can't find people who actually want to deal with that. Now, again, as the kind of person I am, if I'm getting dog walked, I'm gonna figure out what I'm doing wrong and do better. That's just the way I roll. And even with like, for those who have an issue with the changes that they are making with Black Ops 7, you got an issue with the changes to rotational aim assist that they're doing right now. Cool. I'm gonna say what I've been saying. Get better.
Get better.
Get good. If you are finding it difficult, this is an opportunity for you to not go on social media and demand a nerf or a buff. It's an opportunity for you to adapt, adjust, and dominate.
Yep.
And if you're really as good as you say you are, you shouldn't have no problems doing that.
You've been on your box ever since IOP last week about this whole not this past week, but I was listening to your IOP on Sunday and you was talking about with Battlefield and stuff, and I was like, yo, he's talking about like, y'all just need to get good, man. I'm like, yo, and guess what? We've been telling people this for the longest. So that's why a lot of these things don't irritate me when it comes to like changes, because all it is it gives you a chance to reset. Because people say, oh, that sucks. Why are they changing this? Yeah, it might suck, but guess what? It affects everyone. So everyone starts at zero when it comes to it. So now what are you going to, if you're going to play the game or you're going to enjoy the game, what are you going to do to make it work in your favor?
Right. Look, the wall running, it took me about 3 or 4 matches to adjust to it. The way the level is designed, the map is designed, has it so where in order for you to get to certain aspects of the map, you gotta be able to do it. And it wasn't like difficult. It's just when you got kind of muscle memory on how to move around, you just kind of don't think about it. And you end up falling into these holes where you're just dead. And it took me a couple matches to adjust, but when I got adjusted to it, I was cool with it. And then I started thinking about, okay, all right, how do I adapt the way I play, which is I play with controllers that have back buttons, and I don't like to take my fingers off the thumbsticks because I like to aim. Right.
Yep.
That's definitely a shot at some people. So like, I like to aim. And when I'm getting engagements and I don't want to have to take my finger off the thumbstick in order to jump or to slide or whatever in order to, make a dynamic movement while aiming. I want to do those things while I am aiming, right? So I moved, I took melee off of one of my back bumpers, and I would love to, probably need to get a controller that has 4 back buttons.
4? Yeah,
Because a lot of the game servers that I use only have 2, which is fine. It's still fine. It's not that big a deal. But like I took melee off of the left back bumper and made jump that in order so that now, and then it just took some time, a couple matches for me to intentionally move around, intentionally choosing to wall jump and using that button so that it became second nature. This is about adapting. And I know there's some people that, they may be like, I just get off of work and I just want to kick back and relax. I'm not trying to go get into the lab and learn how to do whatever. I mean, that's fine.
You get into the lab by just playing where you're at.
Yo, look.
Just play the game. Just play.
You and I know that. Some people don't want to hear that.
I'm gonna tell you what the lab is. When you go into the lab, you intentionally go into the lab. It's not something you pick up the game and you say, I'm about to go into the lab. That is false. Nobody just picks up the game and just says, I just want to play the game and I'm going into the lab. No, going into the lab is intentional. Like when I go into the lab, like I always, my favorite thing to always tell people when I would go, even with Call of Duty, Destiny, or anything, and Destiny was the latest one, and same thing with Battlefield, I would go into certain maps, like on Call of Duty or Destiny, where I know people would come from. You could go into a private match, and you could just, like I did the same thing. So I used the 2 triggers in the back. I used one for jump, one for slide. So I slide with my back buttons. I never take my finger off the thumbstick. And even my and then I moved. No, actually I used 3 because I used for reload. I used the bottom trigger underneath my slide. So I never take my hand off of the trigger, off of the thumbstick. But I would literally purposely go into a game, like a private game, on just different maps, and I would find landmarks that were on the game. And I like people come from this area, and I would look for height level, like head light level parts of the map that I can like slide and aim at while I'm sliding around corners and stuff. So I can like snap to that spot as much as possible. I would do that for like an hour and a half. I might be in a podcast doing Scumcast. I remember I was in Scumcast doing it one day, literally for 2 hours, just not really paying attention to the game, just robotically sliding around this corner, taking a shot at this spot over and over and over again. And guess what? When I went into a game and I played on that map, I did freaking phenomenal. That's called intentional. Nobody goes into a game thinking I'm like, oh, I'm about to, try to do this inside of, no. You go into the game to play the game, and you just get better at the game as you play it. It's all about being intentional with your study habits on how to get better at the game. Hint, watching your gameplay. SloMo was blown away when I told him, like when I saw SloMo, he said, how did you get your KD up so high in Battlefield? I look at my gameplay. Same thing with same thing with Battlefield. I recorded it. I would go back and look at it. I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to it, but I would say, how did I die there? I would just go back and say, oh, I exposed myself too much here. They got a really good, their visibility is really good. Or if there's a head glitch, I'm like, why do I keep dying at this part? I'll look at the kill cam like, oh, that's literally a head glitch. I will not ever go that way ever again. It's just doing little things like that just makes it better. So looking over your gameplay, being intentional about the times you want to be better at the game, and you just go in with the intention to say, I want to practice this. Go into a private match, do those little things like that for an hour, 30 minutes. Some SloMo when we played Halo Infinite, every day before he would play multiplayer, he went into the what was it called, SloMo, where you were going to shoot the dummies and stuff?
Practice mode. Whatever their practice mode was. I would. It wasn't just shooting just like complete idiots. Like I would put it on the highest difficulty AI because I wanted them. because the way Halo Infinite's AI bots were on the highest difficulty, they had like basically aimbot.
Oh,
for
that
aim.
aimbot.
Their,
There's aimbot.
their movement wasn't great, but their aiming and shooting was aimbot. So if you were inaccurate, you just getting capped. And so I wouldn't go into multiplayer until I had ran off a couple of kill streaks on the highest difficulty bots. And people don't quite understand, because when they played Halo Infinite, and the bots in the Halo Infinite would come in and fill in when a player would quit or get disconnected, which is half the time it was the latter, right?
Yeah,
when someone would get disconnected, the bot that would come in is like the second. Like, there's 4 tiers of bots. It would be the second most like easiest bot.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be a good bot that would come in, because they knew their highest level bots were actually better than the majority of the players when it launched. So like me figuring that out had me like, you know what? Well, I would go in and do that, learn the map, learn new maps that would come out when they would finally come out. You know, don't get me started. And kind of like
whenever they would come out.
Yeah. And then get used to moving around and shooting and certain guns against, you know, bots that would zero me out in a millisecond. And that was my way of like warming up before getting into actual multiplayer matches against other players. And again, Halo Infinite skill-based matchmaking was really strict. So like I played a lot by myself. So when I'm playing by myself, I'm just going up against people at my skill level and better. And then as the player base got smaller and smaller and smaller until it was just basically the veterans playing. I was playing against a lot of people that was better than me. So I'm like, in order for me to be ready,
you got to be in here.
I gotta be in here. I gotta get warmed up, and so that's just, not everyone needs to do that. And I'm not saying that everyone should do that. And if
I need
you feel like you need some, some people need to do that, right? And so it's all about just getting better. Like, and I'm not dismissing valid concerns, because there were some valid concerns about the aim assist stuff. There's some valid concerns on the other side of things with certain inputs, right? There's also, I have a valid concern with the kill streaks. Some of the kill streaks they got available, because I feel like there should always be a counter to something. Like I didn't quite have an issue with the Gravemaker sniper rifle kill streak. If in itself, is it a bit egregious that you can see people through walls and actually shoot them through walls? Yes. But I'm fine with it if you can put in a perk that makes me invisible to that. So I actually have to intentionally choose this perk, and so that I can counter a specific kind of player in the game, knowing that I'm losing out on some other perk. Like that's the build, that's the sacrifice I'm making. That's the build that I'm going for, where I'm going to make sure that I have a counter to that, which that's what they've done in the past. Like I think I mentioned before, last time we talked about this, but like the last game, in Black Ops 6, there was the double agent.
Yeah. So
the double agent kill streak allowed you to literally mimic another player from the other team. Hear their comms. You're in the comms with them. You're hearing everything they're saying if they're talking. And like you show up as one of them, like your name above your head looks like an ally's name. And it will continue that way until either the kill streak runs out, the duration of it runs out, or someone kills you. But there is a perk, I think it was Vigilance. I can't remember the name of the perk, but it was in the third option perk tree, where that perk will allow you to basically see through the double agent. Like you gotta have something that is a counter to it. You can't just have something where it's just like that's imbalance, where you got kill streaks that just can't be easily countered as long as you kind of put the time in to or the effort into making sure you have a loadout or something that deals with that. That's my only issue with it. Like if they put a perk and say this perk makes you invisible to the grave maker, or it makes it so that you can't be locked on by grave maker or something, then I'm down with it, fine. But until then, like I'm going to continue having issues with that thing. But
yeah.
Anything else you want to say about this before we
Nope. That's it.
Gregor in the chat is wilding. You'll see what he's saying. Let's get on to, we got two more of these. So
Oh, really? Oh, really?
The Outer Worlds 2
Shut up.
reviews are out. The reviews are out for the Outer Worlds 2. And so far so good. Look, it's averaging a 84 on Metacritic, which is a solid score. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. They're only console warriors and fanboys act like anything below a 90 is bad. 84 is a very good score. Critics, I've skimmed over some of the things critics have been saying. But this game is one of my most anticipated games. So I am. It doesn't matter what the critics would have said. I was going to be playing it regardless. But and looking at some of the things that they've said that the story is very good, but some critics feel like the beginning of the game has a slow build up to like the better aspects of the stories. They kind of felt like it was a bit boring in the beginning. The combat, the gunplay, which we discussed before about Outer World 1, the Outer Worlds, the first one's gunplay not being very good is definitely improved in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Way more satisfying than the previous game, but some felt it was the game's difficulty settings are a bit too easy. Mm-hmm. And in order to get a challenge, you really need to kind of like ramp up the difficulty to higher levels in order to get any kind of challenge. And they felt that exploration lacked diversity. It was a bit too repetitive. So all that said, I'm still locked in on this one. Forte, what are your thoughts about Outer Worlds 2 coming?
Yeah, I never finished the first one, so I was going to do a playthrough of that one. But this is the thing. From what you saw, how important is it to play the first one?
I would say so. The character that you choose, you have in Outer Worlds 2. It's there's create a character, so it's literally like a blank slate kind of character, right? But it's like that in the first game as well. I don't think you are that character from the first game, but the events that occur in the first game are I think somewhat important. So I would say, yeah, go ahead and play through it. Now, myself, I have been enjoying myself so much that I've done like all the side quests. Like I'm basically, before I go on to another planet or another step in the story arc, I've done all the side quests. There's literally nothing left for me to do there, which is part of the reason why I'm like nearly level 30 and I'm just getting to what's it called, Byzantine or whatever the name of that city is. I'm just getting. No, actually, I'm somewhat finished there now. I can leave there. I'm close to the end of the game, but I'm already at a higher level now than I was with either of my previous playthroughs. And so you don't need to do all that. You can just do the main story quests. But I'm doing all the companion quests. I've done basically everything, and I'm about to do the DLC, which I believe someone in the chat said one of those DLCs are somewhat important to the storylines of the sequel. So I would say, yeah, go ahead and play through it.
Okay, yeah. So I was looking at, like, I was really interested in the first one. It's just that during everybody, it's very well documented. I was a addict during when the first one came out. I didn't see myself outside of that that fog of destiny till 2024 when I finally stopped playing the game. And I'm proud of myself. Like, and I look back at it now and I'm like, you know what, as bad as that game is at this point and the people complaining about it, I lived by and stuck by my commitment to it for 10 years. And when I beat the last raid and finished the fight, per se, I was done. So there's a lot of games that I really want to go back and play because I didn't get a chance to experience them when they first came out. And Outer Wars is definitely one of them. I was kind of worried when I'm not going to say worried, but I was kind of up in the air how I was going to really feel about playing this one due to like just Microsoft stepping on their own 2 feet. $80 game, then coming back and saying it's not going to be 80. It's like, it's just very, very wishy-washy. But the thing is, I definitely believe in Obsidian. I think that they are one of the best studios that they have when it comes to like content creation of games and stuff to this day. So I definitely want to give it a try. But I definitely want to play the first one because that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I looked at a couple of people's videos and like some reviews of the first one too. And I know there's a lot of TCL that happened between the first and the second one. That's going to make this a way better experience in the second one. But I kind of treat this game like I treated Mass Effect 1 because I played 6 hours of Mass Effect 1, got off the Citadel, got stuck on a planet, and the game just died for me right there. I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. I'm good. And then I played Mass Effect. Then my brother got me to play Mass Effect 2. And the very first mission, when a Normandy is being freaking destroyed by the collectors, and I was floating through space, I was like, yo, I have to go play the first one. Because I can't. I have to know how this all happened. And I went back and played the first one, and then All She Wrote, one of the great, my favorite franchise of all time in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Number two is my favorite game of all time. So with that,
I would say this: I've seen a lot of people. I've talked to a few people who had review codes and played this.
Mm-hmm.
They felt that Outer Worlds 2 is like the closest they've seen from Western developers captured that Mass Effect feeling.
Yeah, and I've heard that too from a very trusted source that I know wouldn't lie to me. When
in addition to, like, the first game didn't allow you to get out of first person perspective.
Yeah,
we saw with Obsidian that Avowed had the option to switch back and forth between first and third person. As soon as I switched to third person in Avowed, I never looked back. I did not look back, and I've always been, if you allow me customization and get cool looking armor and cool looking weapons and stuff, I want to see it. I don't want other people to look at me, especially like even in multiplayer games. It's just like other people saying, "Wow, that looks dope." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. I guess I don't know. I can't see it." But in a game where it's very narrative driven and stuff like that, I love that that's there, and it's part of the reason why I think a lot of people really enjoy Mass Effect. Is that you can see your character, you can create your own Shepard and see them in the game. I feel like, if anything, that's the only one detractor that I have for Cyberpunk is that there is no dedicated third-person mode. And honestly, considering that they're not going to do anything more with the game, they should eventually just, dedicate some time, CDPR that is, to making that an official feature in the game. I know it'll be a ton of work. There's a ton of animation work that you got to do with rigging and motion matching and all that other stuff. I understand the developer side of things is not an easy do, but you do have a dedicated studio that you put onto this. So, make it happen. My only hope with Outer Worlds 2 is that I hope that the animation. Oh, boy, give me a second. I think I may have lost. Are we? Wait. Okay. Yeah, we did lose things. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Lost you guys for a moment. My only concern with the Outer Worlds 2 is that with Avowed, I appreciate it and I enjoyed playing the game in third-person perspective more than first, but I felt like the animations were a bit lacking.
Right.
And I felt that it would have been better if they spend a little bit more time in that and making that feel a bit more natural, and movement and how your character walked and ran and did certain movements or certain attacks or things like that. And it looks like they may have put a bit more time into Outer Worlds 2 with that, but I have to see for myself. But otherwise, I'm here day one. I can't wait.
Yeah. That's kind of how I am. I definitely want to do it. I just got to go through that first one first, and definitely take advantage before my Game Pass subscription goes up in price.
Yeah. All right. Last rapid fire topic. This one is I think this one will be something that will end up being a bigger topic, and people will be talking about this a lot tomorrow.
Okay.
But we discussed a few weeks ago how there were rumors out there that Halo Infinite, not Halo Infinite, but Halo Studios was working on, as we all know, they've announced they've been working on more Halo projects, and they said earlier this month that they would be announcing what that next Halo project was. And I think it's like a Halo Championships are tomorrow. That's the esports thing. I think, now someone correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially they said they'll be announcing the next Halo project at this event, and they absolutely are. So that's definitely going to happen. A lot of the rumors that people are hearing about it being potentially Halo Combat Evolved, the very first Halo game, remaster or remade. I think you can definitely.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think you can definitely expect that to happen. I'm trying to say that in the most non, what do you know, slow-mo kind of way. But yeah, I think you can definitely say that's definitely going to happen. And from what I'm hoping for, I'm hoping it is a I'm hoping it's a full remake of the game at this point. I played it back in the day, nearly 3 decades ago. I played that game like at day one, right?
Yep.
And loved it. It's one of my. It actually is my favorite Halo game, even though I can acknowledge it's not the best.
Stormy the Beach, game. Baby. Stormy the Beach. Love that. The beach when the music kicks in, you're flying in the Peloton, they touch down on the beach and you go crazy. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, they did a lot of innovative things that hadn't been done in first-person shooters in that campaign, and not just game in general, the multiplayer as well, controller support. Like a lot of people don't realize that a lot of like first-person shooters did not have weren't developed controller first like this game was at that time period. But if you play it over the years, you notice a lot of things that couldn't be helped at the time, but it shows how dated the design of the game was, like the reuse of assets, the reuse of environments, the library in general is a lot of that. A lot of people hate the library, and just like how the game begins on the Pillar of Autumn and ends also on the Pillar of Autumn, and they made that a narrative like story reason for it, but it really wasn't a much of a like. They had to do that because it was a memory issue, of having enough memory in order to they essentially need to reuse that environment again. And so what I'm hoping for is that in some of those areas where you see like literally the same geometry, the same design of certain rooms and features, that there's a bit more. Now that technology is much better, the hardware we're playing on is so much better that there's some variety there. There's some differences there. It doesn't just look exactly the same. I'm hoping for I don't want them to change the way they did the story with the Pillar of Autumn at the end of the game, but I would love to see if like
Baby.
the flood corruption has really made the say what?
Remember that? Hold me, baby.
Right.
Remember that?
It's so weird.
If you
can you imagine them doing that? Can you imagine them doing that in this game? They gotta have it back, but I mean that's just so weird.
Bro,
that's so weird. That's gonna be
gotta-
so weird.
Listen, all I'll say is beat the game on legendary difficulty, and
Yeah,
the end will be so funny.
That is ridiculous. Yeah. So I'm just hoping that, like, you know, now that you don't have the limitations of hardware, that you can do a bit more that, you know, that Bungie wasn't able to do with the game in that aspect. And I think it would be for the better for it. I think I can probably just count it as a guarantee that the way the gunplay is and the way it will control will be different than what it was back then. Because if you just play Halo Combat Evolved now, you'll very quickly realize, oh man, I used to play Halo like this. Like it doesn't play the way Halo Infinite plays. And some people would say Halo Infinite doesn't go far enough as far as modernizing the way Halo feels. I will always go back to saying that, like, not every first-person shooter should feel the same, and I feel like there's some COD heads that want every first-person shooter to move like COD, and that's just not realistic. Nor should you want that, because there's just not enough uniqueness if everything is the same. But Forte, what do you try? Like, let's just go with the assumption that we're going to see Halo Combat Evolved tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to see from this? What's the number one thing you want to see from it?
A full remake.
Full
remake. I want to see a full remake, because I feel like at this point they already did the half stack when they did the anniversary edition. They did a semi remake of they just did a graphical update to the game.
Yeah,
I feel like if you're not gonna go full remake on it 20 years later, almost 25 years later, then it's kind of, I won't say it's not worth it, but I also feel like this game is going to be a game that's going to be it's not going to just be on Xbox. So I feel like you need to put your best foot forward with the best version that you could come out.
Really? Where else would it be?
I think it's going to be on PlayStation too, day one.
Oh, I'm fairly certain that that's the case.
I think it's going to be on PS5 day one, PS5 Pro enhanced and everything. But I just feel like at a certain point, this game already had a semi update. You just kind of got to go all the rest of the way on this one, especially if you're going to be bringing it to a brand new audience. Like I said, that hasn't been announced or anything. It hasn't been anything said. That's just saying that's just what I'm thinking on the strength of what Microsoft and Xbox has been doing with the majority of their titles lately, especially since we got Gears Reloaded that came out. And now that wasn't a full remake, but it was pretty much the closest thing you could get to without them completely rebuilding the game and doing it in a completely updated engine and everything, like the Unreal 5 engine and everything. But in general, I just want to see, I have such fond memories, like the first time you pick up the helmet and you look at it and you're looking at the recorder and you see the flood attack, like those eerie moments. I want to see how vast the silent cartographer really is. Like, it was already huge when you first went into that room and you had Cortana sitting on a thing and you had the orb and it was circling around. You just saw how big this area was. The way that gaming is now and the technology that we have to our disposal now, I want to be blown away by what initially was the reason that a lot of people got into shooters on consoles in the first place. Like, right. the reason that Halo was, yes, it was driven by multiplayer, but most people, probably 70 to 80% of the people that bought Halo played the campaign, then went to multiplayer. Now you see the adverse of that when it comes to a lot of people. Like, though some people still play the campaign, a lot of people still do, but the majority of people say, I'm here for the multiplayer. And that's fine. But I want them to like bring that magic back. And the only way they can do that, in my opinion, is by going big, the scale of it. Because if they want to prove to me that Halo still matters to them, they would actually go out with this title, because I think, like I said, it's going to be the first time that people on another platform are going to get a chance to experience it, and it will kind of set the table for future Halo games going forward. If you can't do it with the base game and make people excited to see the direction, because this is a way that you could kind of tease what the new direction of Halo is going to be by starting from the beginning.
Well,
That's
I think I think that comes with a further explanation and not just announcing the game and announcing what you did differently from the first game. I think if you really want to get people invested in Halo again, you need to kind of like explain more of what you're doing beyond just this one game, and how what people should expect from Halo Studios going forward. Like that, the direction, the vision, all that stuff needs to be there. For myself, what I really just want to see is I want to see a studio on the same page, which I am fairly certain that's not what I'm going to get, considering some of the high profile departures recently over the past 2 or 3 months of longtime veterans of the franchise leaving the game. I think maybe Pierre Heinz, who this is now the new studio head, may have needed to do a little bit more curating of who is on board for how they're making the game and how they're going to continue to make Halo going forward. And who knows? Like I don't want to pass judgment on them. I want to give them a fair shake. Not saying that like changing your name makes you a brand new studio, but it is under new leadership. And I think that new leadership needs to have the same level of opportunity to fail or succeed that Bonnie Ross had.
I agree, 100%.
So that's all I got. All I can say on it. Anything else you want to say before we get into this main topic, man?
Yeah, no, let's get into it, man.
Alrighty. So Xbox has been kind of
literally have one topic.
Yo,
I just like when you said it, you said we got, we only got these 3 things, but then I just realized that the rapid fires was literally a topic, and is literally one topic. It is a massive topic.
Yeah,
we're gonna be here a while, but go ahead.
It's a massive topic. We're gonna take this in sections, okay? So this is let's get into the first thing. We're gonna go in chronological order of all the stuff that's been going on Xbox related over the past week. The first thing that happened was Sarah Bond, president of Xbox, had an interview where she discussed, and the interview was mostly about the new Xbox ROG Ally and ROG Ally X, and she was promoting that, talking about their new PC handheld, because it is a PC handheld. People. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but it's a PC handheld. And at some point in the interview, started talking about moving, kind of transitioning to what is the next Xbox, the next gen Xbox going to look like. And Sarah said that, and to quote her, the next gen Xbox will be very premium, very high end, curated experience. And how that translated to me was very expensive.
Very expensive.
So there's a bit of a sticker shot on the ROG Xbox Ally X being $1,000, and I get it. For a lot of people who their only exposure to handhelds is the Switch, and the Switch has always been, Switch 1 and 2, cheaper than the consoles. So for them who and maybe they know about the Steam Deck existence, and the Steam Deck is priced very similar to the Switch. They are completely ignorant of PC handhelds that have been far more performant as far as its capabilities and hardware than the Steam Deck or the Switch. And they don't know that a lot of them routinely are over $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So when they see the sticker shock of $1,000, they go, "What? Are you serious?" Like, and I get it. It's a completely understandable reaction. That said, I don't think that SKU is for you. That SKU is for a very small niche PC handheld market where people have already spent anywhere between $700, $800 to $900 on a PC handheld before. They have the kind of disposable income to do that, and they have no problem spending over north of $1,000 on another one. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of people that are like that, which is also the reason why I think that it's not sold out for the people who keep wanna, who can't figure out what the word sold out means. But it's not sold out, but it is more difficult to find than the base model. And I think that's because they made more of the base model because they expected more people to be interested in the $600 one.
Just like the Series X and the Series S. You couldn't find a Series X when it first came out, but you could find Series S's everywhere because they knew people were going to buy more of that one than the other one.
Even though the reviews seem to be kinder towards the Xbox ROG Ally X than the Xbox ROG Ally, because the base model people are saying for $600 it's not doing enough. But this isn't about that. This is about what she said about the next gen Xbox. And I believe, and Forte, I'll pitch this over to you once I say this. I believe that the price of the Xbox ROG Ally X is also kind of preparing the console gamer to be done with the idea of a hardware where the price is subsidized
pricing.
Where, because maybe not with Nintendo or Sony, but with Microsoft, they're done with that. They're not subsidizing anything anymore. What it costs is what you're going to pay, especially when their hardware sales have not been very good. They have been in decline each generation, and even further decline with this generation compared to the last one, which they admitted wasn't what they wanted. And so when you have this issue, it just seems as if for them they're like, we don't have enough people really buying these to justify us spending the degree that we spend in the L that we take on the upfront cost of these things to justify us continuing to do that in the future. And so what are your thoughts on that? Because I kind of feel like this is them selling stuff at a profit, at cost. And cost is not profit, sorry. Selling something where they're going to make their money up front on it. Whether
so you're not selling at a loss anymore.
Nah. What are your thoughts about that?
I think you're 100% accurate. And I also think the biggest thing that you should take from this is it's part of the approach that they have when it comes to, everything's an Xbox, play your games wherever you want to play. They're going to, the conversation is going to go back. Well, nobody's going to want to buy games for your platform. Well, you don't have to buy games on their platform because you could buy their games on PC. You could buy them on PlayStation. If you want to be in the Xbox ecosystem because people say they still love Xbox and you want to support the Xbox brand, and they are going to have a more curated experience for people that want to do that, but you are going to be basically at the highest of highest ends because they are going to these systems aren't going to be things that you're just going to be able to walk in. I mean, maybe initially you will be able to walk into the store and just find one, but for the most part, these are going to be things that you're probably going to have to order, pre-order. You know, Xbox has been messing around with that whole idea of ordering things on the dashboard on the Xbox or on the Xbox store for a while now, where you could just pay for it that way and you can have it shipped. Kind of look at it like how they do Design Lab for your controllers and stuff. You can build anything you want and they'll just ship it to you. That's where we're going with this. You also got to remember, there's a reason that a lot of retailers are dropping Xbox when it comes to like having console hardware and stuff in the store, because they already know what's up. So I just think that this is just another moment in time where Microsoft and Xbox are basically saying, we still want to have hardware. I do think it will still be hardware. I don't think that's going to last forever. I think that's mostly going to be tied to...
I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we can talk about... Yeah, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to last forever. I think it's only going to last...
I don't think that's something that's going to last very soon.
Well, I think it's only... Okay, I think it's all up to...
So this is what I mean. This is what I mean.
Yeah, go ahead.
In these interviews that Sarah Bond has been doing, she referred to the Xbox Ally X, which is created by Asus. This device doesn't exist because Microsoft said they wanted the Xbox PC handheld. Asus was going to make this regardless.
Yeah.
If Microsoft didn't make this choice, they just would have been calling this the ROG Ally Z, I don't know, the Y or something, whatever the change its differentiation away from the previous ROG Ally and ROG Ally X. But Xbox came calling, and here we are. They're doing marketing. It's being sold in more places. There's more eyes on it. Of course, Asus is going to say, "Cool, we're down with that." But the device is going to exist regardless. I say all that to say, if you recall, remember, right?
Oh, here we go.
Remember Project Keystone?
I do. Good old
Project Keystone.
Yep, I remember.
For those who are listening or unaware, Project Keystone was supposed to be like this dongle that you would connect to your smart TV, and it would be like you would be doing cloud gaming. You would be doing xCloud, Microsoft Cloud Gaming, playing your games in the cloud, that kind of deal. That ended up getting canceled. And what ended up replacing that is the Amazon Fire Stick. And remember when they did that whole marketing campaign with this is an Xbox and they were showing the Amazon Fire Stick, but it had to be a very specific Amazon Fire Stick? Yeah. Give me a second. Love you too, sweetie. They canceled that dedicated hardware they were making in lieu of Amazon's dedicated hardware that was already coming out anyway. That specific, more expensive Amazon Fire Stick was always going to come out. Now, fast forward a few years, here we are. Remember that they canceled their own dedicated handheld. Remember that? And then, there were some people that said, oh, it's just put on hold, but everyone knew what it meant. They're canceling it. It's not coming out anymore. And then we find out that they're partnering with Asus for the handheld, PC handheld that's out now.
Mm-hmm.
That's twice in a row you were supposed to deliver hardware that you were going to make, but instead you went and chose to partner with someone else to use their hardware. And what do you call it? An Xbox. Remember when Phil Spencer said, we're going to deliver a VR experience for you guys? They were supposed to deliver a VR headset, but then they canceled that and said, he made up some foolishness about, Xbox gamers don't want VR, which, people were just like, well, speak for yourself, Phil. That's not how I feel. And then eventually what ended up happening? They partnered with Meta and got an Xbox version of the Meta Quest 3. Where am I getting at? I know you're slow-mo. What are you trying to say? They are absolutely saying right now, and I believe with 100% confidence because I know people who work there who have told me this. They are working on the next gen Xbox under, I'm not going to call it the console because it's not. It's an under the TV mini PC. That's what they're working on. They are working on that. They have intentions of delivery on that as far as anyone who is working on it is concerned. That said, do not be surprised if that gets canceled and they go partner with someone else who's doing the exact same thing. I mean, they're already working with a company who could do that.
They are.
Asus makes devices like that. There are plenty of companies who make mini PCs. Tiny form factor, ITX, kind of smaller than the ITX build, I would say. PCs in the case, because that's essentially what you're getting from this. They already said it's going to be some kind of PC console hybrid kind of thing.
Yep.
I mean, essentially what they're talking about is a better version of what's already in the Xbox Ally right now, which is a PC running Windows 11 or maybe Windows 12, who knows, but running Windows with a shell to a degree, a interface, a GUI that's streamlined and kind of gets all the other PC-ness out of your face.
Mm-hmm. That's
different than a console, where the console literally is just a stripped down Windows kernel that does not have the full functionality of Windows. That's different than this. This will have full functionality. This will have the other storefronts. You're allowed to be. Remember, here's the difference between it. On your PC, if you want Discord on your PC, you just take 2 minutes, if that, on your browser, going to Discord, downloading Discord, installing it. You're done.
You're done.
How long did it take them to get Discord, a version of Discord, on your Xbox?
Forever.
Months. That's the difference between a closed system and an open system like PC. This won't be that difficult. Something like Discord will not be that difficult for this next device, Xbox, under your TV device, because some people don't know this, but your desktop PCs right now, you could go put them beside your TV and connect it to your TV, and it's no different than playing on a monitor.
I mean, one of
it's
my
just not as
my PC through HDMI.
Yeah, it's just not as intuitive or easy. But there are plenty of software out there, options out there. Play Night, all kinds of stuff. As I say, Play Night. I forgot the name of it. I don't like to make my PC pretend like it's a console, so I don't do these things. But I can't remember the name of the most popular one, but there's one that's super popular that people use, and it's basically what Xbox wants their experience to look like.
That's what Steam has, the Steam OS that they do it with when it comes
Steam,
to picture mode.
Which is Steam OS is way more efficient and way more, they've had more time to do it, of course, but it's better than what you're getting from the Xbox Ally at this time. All I'm saying is that do not be surprised if they're not really making their next hardware, and that they're always partnering with someone else to do that. Because that's going to get into like another topic that we're going to talk about when it comes to profit margins. And why they would do that is that, when you have mandates for a particular profit margin, and when your biggest negative when it comes to your margins is your hardware, the easiest way to help get your profit margins is to eliminate it. Because instead of you building, like they're working with AMD regardless, right? So the whole, like, some people tried to say, well, look, here's the contract with AMD. Did you idiots not remember that? And I'm like, no, we remember that. We also read it, unlike some people, and we know what it means. Mm-hmm. They partnered with AMD to make a specific system on the chip, an APU, and also to help them optimize the experience for multiple devices. If you take away their own dedicated console, you still have it for multiple devices. Hello? Like, it's not rocket science. So if you have your biggest detractor, the biggest drag on your profit margins is your hardware, where you're creating it and you're having to subsidize it and you aren't selling it. That becomes a very different situation when you just basically are licensing out your name to some other manufacturer who was already going to make a product that does exactly what you want. And then all you got to do is have them work with AMD to put their APU in that product, and bam, you got your next device.
Got your next device.
So that's all I'm saying, Forte. Just don't be surprised if that's what's coming down the pipeline. I know there's some people who are still completely against it. That's never going to happen. Okay, these same people said that
it's only 4 games.
Their games, only 4 games. It was never going to happen. So, yeah.
And we told y'all then, like, this is. I said when he couldn't even answer the question directly, I say, "Oh, it's more than 4 games, y'all." But no, but that's the thing. So ultimately, we just have to. You Microsoft and Xbox. It's like, everybody's biggest thing. First of all, everybody's biggest thing is, can you just tell us what it is? Don't sugarcoat it. Just tell us what it is. And I think at a certain point, everybody would kind of just accept it. But you have, different content creators saying it's one way. You have, Sarah Bond coming out saying these different things. And I don't think any of this stuff is inaccurate. Just like, I don't think, Xbox, when they came out and talked about that, they had all these things like VR and everything in the works. I don't think that stuff was inaccurate at that point. I just think plans changed. Just like, I don't think, I don't think, you go back and you think about just all the conversations about Phil Spencer fighting for Call of Duty to be inside of Game Pass, and then Microsoft acquiescing to it, and that's probably going to get to the next topic, the part of the topic we're going to talk about when it comes to like the overall profitability and the margins and everything. At a certain time, the hens got to come home to roost, and it's kind of where we are now. So this just more speaks to the fact that, you kind of got to look at it, like we always talk about, no one wants to see other people lose their jobs. But when you are a hardware manufacturer, the 2 things that hit your bottom line the most is the R&D of the product you're making, plus releasing that product. And especially being in a console market, that stuff has always been subsidized. We're not talking about PC, where they can charge you $1,000 for a GPU and say we're making all our money back because everybody's know that PC hardware is expensive. So RAM for the longest time before it dropped down to normal prices was super overinflated. Because it was just because the chipsets and because of all the with TMSE and everything. So there was different reasons for different things to happen. But going back to Xbox and Microsoft, you got to understand the biggest thing to the bottom line of your P&L, your profit and net loss dialogue, is your employment, hiring, and training people. And if you're doing hardware in a console space, your hardware is probably the second biggest expense you have because you're not making money on it. That's why this generation is so backwards compared to all other generations.
Unless you're Nintendo.
Unless you're Nintendo, because Nintendo's always make money on their platform. But that
comes with a detraction to it, which is they intentionally give you outdated hardware, outdated specs, outdated, APUs and everything else, and a lack of features, so that they can make sure that they are making a profit at launch off the rip. And you want
to know what the funny thing is? You remember that GDC conference interview that Bungie did, where they talking about don't over deliver? Nintendo is the perfect. That is the perfect version of what Nintendo is, because they lived that blueprint. They say we're going to give people just enough to keep them on the hook, because you don't want to go out and you don't want to give them everything. You don't want to give them the best looking graphics and the best looking game, because then where do you go from there? We're not saying that they shouldn't do that. Like I was just talking about Pokemon, that should absolutely happen. But then they're going to say, well, where do we go from here now?
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so annoyed with my footage right now in the Jumbotron. I got this kill streak, and I don't even know how to use it. I had no idea that I had no idea which kill streak this was, and it was the like the bulldog or whatever, the guard dog. I just needed to point it at the ground, and I was just like, why is this not working? And I feel like a moron. But go ahead.
No, you're good. But no, that's kind of where I'm looking at this whole thing. You know, they're either gonna we already know in December or in February, March, there's going to be a bunch of layoffs again. Across all of gaming. Microsoft might be impacted the most again due to their situation, and you know, kind of changing the dynamic of how they release their games and everything. But then what also could come with that is not the depth of the console from them, but the depth of the console that they make themselves. Like SloMo said, they're committed to still bringing hardware to people that says Xbox on it. They're just not committed to bringing hardware to the world that Xbox themselves created. And that's kind of the difference that you're kind of looking at this point. Anybody that says they still believe in hardware, you haven't been reading the room, because if they still believe in hardware, there's no way that there will be an Asus ROG Ally X out there before their own handheld. They're basically holding hands with them right now, saying, you make the product, we'll promote the heck out of it, because guess what costs less for them to do? What costs more? Making the hardware and manufacturing it, or promoting it? Because once you promote it, you only have to promote it for so long, and then it's like kind of out there. Word of mouth kind of spreads, especially if it's a good piece of hardware. You don't have to really do too much work after that. But when it comes to the manufacturing of it, you still have to R&D it. That's already been done. AMD already did the hard part when it came to that. Then you got to manufacture it on a mass level. And then on top of that, you're talking about tariff situations, charging people more. They don't want to deal with none of that no more. It's just kind of over for them when it comes to that. Not saying they could never go back. It just doesn't seem like they have the appetite to want to go back and do that anymore.
They don't find it's going to be profitable for them to do that. And so some of the criticisms of the Xbox Ally X, where people feel like it's like a hodgepodge of ideas that are from various different companies that weren't speaking to one another. Like, why is it 3 different buttons to turn the thing on? You know, from what people are saying, why does it have an Asus button and an Xbox X button, you know, on it? Like it's just, you're going to get more of that when the device that you have co-opted to be your next, this is an Xbox, is not a fully designed product that you made from the very beginning. They kind of continue on so we can get into the weeds with some of this. Okay. Sarah Bond also said that when it comes to exclusive games, that they are antiquated, because gamers have evolved past locking down to one device or store, and because the biggest games are everywhere. Now, her reasoning is sound, but I don't think her reasoning
is incomplete.
It's incomplete. It doesn't mean that exclusives are antiquated, because the biggest games are live service games, big multiplayer experiences. They're basically platforms themselves. Like Roblox is a platform. It is a app that has hundreds upon hundreds of games on there, and they're also getting hit with a class action lawsuit that they deserve, but you know, for not protecting children. But you know, we're not gonna get into the weeds on that. Fortnite is a platform.
That it is.
It operates in a lot of the same way. And so, like, that's how the younger generations kind of look at platforms, where they decide, when I play Roblox, 10 of us could be in this Discord call right now, and all 10 of us could be saying we're playing Roblox, and it would be a very different experience if you saw what we were playing for all 10 of us, because that's just how it's designed. But that's what she's talking about when she says that the biggest games are everywhere. Of course it's everywhere, because the platform is the platform. The platform isn't the hardware for what's becoming increasingly more and more popular. It's this particular piece of software. And so it just needs something to play on. Now, they do have a IP that's similar to that, like with Minecraft, right? Yeah. But Microsoft doesn't have a lot of those kind of experiences. They just allow those experiences on their own hardware, on their own platform, but they don't have too many of the kind of IPs where it is literally like people want to play it on everything. That there's Minecraft that does that, there's Call of Duty that does that. They don't really have too many other IP that are in that ecosystem. And so when you start talking about exclusive games, like we were talking about The Outer Worlds 2 and how excited I am to play that, and I'm going to play that on my PC, and I'm fine with the fact that that's available on my PC. That's great for me. For them, you know, if you want to push a particular piece of hardware, that's not great for that hardware, because I'm not engaging in that hardware in order to play it, which is the reason why Sony has timed exclusive games that are come out on PC later, but start out on PS5. It's the reason why Nintendo, the only way to legally play their games without having their ninjas come after you is to play it on Nintendo hardware, because they see the value in that. They don't feel exclusives are antiquated.
Yeah, they don't.
And we see that in how they do business, and have continued to do business, despite some people saying over and over again, that's going to change in the future. Well, when in the future? What, 2040? Like, well, how far in the future are we talking? Because as far as we see right now in 2025, it's business as usual for them, which is they're more successful than Microsoft and Xbox doing that. And that's why Xbox feels how they feel, because their hardware has not been valued by the overall gaming market. And so if it's not valued, then you kind of feel like, well, why do I need it? We can just put our games anywhere. We can just put our games on PlayStation. We can just put our games on anything. And so it's what it is. What are your thoughts on the whole exclusive antiquated thing?
Nintendo shoots that in the foot every day. It's just
basically
every day. It's like, you know, I may be a person that doesn't, you know, live or die by the exclusive rhetoric, but I still will tell you, I will still tell you, I'm still a person that bought a $500 piece of hardware called the PS5 day one, just because I knew God of War was coming, even knowing they announced it saying 2021, and I knew it wasn't coming out in 2021. I still bought my PlayStation 5 day one and played some games on it until God of War came out. Then I played God of War. So exclusives absolutely matter, and they are not antiquated. The problem is it still doesn't change the fact that Phil Spencer's statements a long time ago about losing the worst generation to lose, that still lingers today, because the decisions they made in 2013 through 2017, when it came to building the platform, not having exclusive titles, being very nonchalant when it comes to like the offerings of what and getting, you know, exclusive platforms games on their system, and building their own studios or hiring and bringing other studios in. None of that stuff happened until after the fact. And yes, I do think they were a prisoner of their own jail cell, because when they purchased these studios with games releasing. So then it was also a wait period for those studios to produce games underneath Xbox. Sure, you got the revenue of games like the West game. I forget, you know, West, what is it called? The one from I can't think of the name. But just that game in general, or even Outer Worlds, or all those games. Yeah, you got
The
the
West
revenue.
game.
I forget the name of the studio. It starts with a W. It was one of the studios they purchased. It was I can't think of the name of it.
In 2018?
Well, they released it in 20. I think it was 2020 when that one came out.
The game or the studio? What,
No, the studio. I can't think of the name of the studio.
what's the game?
I'm trying. It starts with a W. I think it was. What was?
You ain't giving me much help here.
I'm about to look it up. I'm about to look this up now.
What kind of game is it?
Let's see.
World's Edge?
No, not World's Edge makes Age of Empire. They always had World's Edge.
So okay, what kind of game
It's
is
not
it that you're talking
Obsidian.
about?
I'm trying to think of the. I can't even think of the. It's not Obsidian. It's not Ninja Theory.
In Exile?
Yes, in Exile. What was the name of the game they made that they released? It was in Exile.
It was the third version of the game.
Wasteland.
Wasteland. That's it.
What
Yeah.
Wasteland 3. I swear to God, I could not think of it. But yeah, because you got to think, Outer Wars released the game. In Exile released their game, which was Wasteland 3, all at the same time that the acquisition went through. So they had to wait for those studios to make new games and release them, and then they get hit by COVID. So it was just a bad time for Xbox over a 3 to 4 year period. But it still doesn't change the fact that it should have never got to that point, because you were operating with 3 first-party studios from 2014 to 2017, bro. How are you even supposed to survive as a platform holder where Halo, Gears, and Forza literally is the only thing you have? And yes, and Halo wasn't even as good then because you messed up things. But in general, I do think it ultimately comes back to the conversation around exclusives definitely still matter. People went out and bought Forza, not because it was just available on PlayStation, because they had no reason to buy an Xbox. Like, if you would have gave people a reason to buy an Xbox all of those years ago, then people would have probably played Forza Motorsport 4, Motorsport 5, and not Motorsport, but Horizon 2, 3, 4, and 5 on an Xbox. But the fact that you didn't have those offerings and the things that entice those people to want to buy it, and you waited until most people already picked the platform they wanted to be on, now you're forcing yourself to have to release these games on other platforms, and then people are like, well, cool, now I can actually enjoy this game and I don't have to buy a platform for it. And then on top of that, you're leaning into and this is probably the most egregious part of it, the reason that you feel like games like exclusives are inadequate is because you look at your platform as inadequate. You're telling people every day for the last 5 years, you don't need an Xbox. You can play on PC, play anywhere. We got our stuff where Game Pass exists. You can cloud stream, play on your PC, play on your laptop. You don't have to go out and buy an Xbox. And I'm like, what company does that? So yes, they're antiquated to you, because you made your platform like non-desirable. You weren't saying that in 2007 when you were selling 13 million copies of Halo 3 during the first 24 hours that it was out. You weren't saying stuff like that then. You weren't saying that when Gears of War came out and Cliffy B was walking around with a chainsaw gun in his hand, posing for cameras, and got people out here, saying he's like the next greatest thing. You didn't say that when Mass Effect was exclusive to your platform and you were selling millions of copies of that game and everybody was enjoying the gameplay that you had. When you had all of these third-party exclusives, like, when you had Skyrim and you had Oblivion and Morrowind and stuff like that. Oh, that wasn't a problem. Exclusive games. Oh yeah, we all about exclusive games. We're all about going out and, tailoring our experience to having our players and our fans want to play on our platform. But all of a sudden now that is not the talking point for you, that they're antiquated. And I say BS. It's just you are antiquated in the way that you're thinking, and then the people just kind of took your energy and ran with it. And we always tell people that in sales, like, the energy you put out is the energy you get in. If you want to sell something, and this, SloMo, being the person that used to sell, working at renter cars and stuff. If you're not excited and you're talking about the stuff that you want people to get, they're not going to get it. They don't.
Right.
It's like you have to have some type of like excitement around what you're talking about. And when you don't do that, it kind of makes it seem like, well, do you believe in the things that you're even selling? And that's the thing. They didn't believe in Xbox. They stopped believing in it a long time ago. They thought that they had a get out of jail free card when Activision came up for purchase, and it ended up being the biggest red herring ever, because you opened up the floodgates and allowed Microsoft to come in and say, yo, we got to look at these books and what's really been going on.
I'm glad you just said that, because now we can talk about the last thing that has come out, which is,
this is how we got to this part.
Yeah, so this has been news that has come up today, and this is according to Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier of them, that Microsoft is now asking the Xbox gaming division to produce profit margins of 30%. And so for those who may be unfamiliar with what that means, is that your revenue is how much money that you're bringing in off of, whether it is a particular game, microtransactions, your hardware, whatever, that entire division. And then your expenses is what it costs you to get there. And that was, developer salaries, medical benefits, the technology that you use, the building that house those developers, the electricity bill, the services that you render, Game Pass, for example. The expenses are, you get games as the Game Pass. Part of your expenses is the upfront cost you had to pay the developer / publisher to get their game into Game Pass, that kind of thing. And so when that's all said and done, you either got some profit because the expenses didn't exceed your revenue, or you're in the red and you got some issues to deal with. And so,
you got issues.
30% profit margin is not common for the gaming industry. It's not what people typically get. You would get a publisher who may hit 30% profit margins in a great year. They had an awesome year. It was an amazing, all the games they came out with that year, fantastic. No issues whatsoever. Everyone loves them. Or they had one really, really big game that really exceeded expectations to a significant degree, where what they were expecting the sales to be were far, far, far beyond that. And then now your profit margins based off of what you knew you needed to break even and what you knew you needed to make a little bit of money has now already been blown away. Like that's when profit margins are like that. Nintendo, who generally sells hardware at launch, making a profit, who has low fidelity games that don't cost that much to make, but yet they do the least of putting games on sale. Those guys don't hit 30% profit margins. And their console, their Switch 1 is about to be the highest sold console ever. So it's not impossible to reach that for Microsoft. The question I have is, do you want to see what Microsoft would do in order to make that happen?
Oh, the books are about to be cooked.
Oh no, they ain't gonna cook the book. What they gonna cook is these developers.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. The book's about to be cooked. What's the fact? We talked about it earlier, SloMo. What's the fastest way to get to profitability? Either laying people off or getting rid of a high dollar asset that allows you to save money on the back end instead of developing. They already did that pretty much with the console. You don't really see too many Xboxes out there. So that's one way that you could cut it. Another way you could do it, like if you look at that article when all this stuff came out and they said that you thought last year was bad, this year is going to be worse. So you're going to see, so there, and a lot of companies do this, you know, to make that bottom line look better when it comes to like, you know, the overall profitability of the company, because they didn't say revenue, they said profit. Like, it's not hard to, I mean, it's still kind of hard to do 30% year over year growth in just revenue, because that means if you're consistently running like $3 million in revenue, in order for you to hit 30% margin on that, that means you got to do $90 million extra on top of the 300 million you were already doing. That's a quarter of your revenue or 33% of your revenue that they want you to make up more. So that's not an easy thing to do. That's so when they said profit, I'm like, yo, that's even harder to do, because now we're talking about all the money that comes out of all those bills at the end of the month. You're paying for buildings, you're paying for server blades, you're paying for associates, or not associates, developers, you're paying for healthcare, you're paying for all of these different things. And at the end of the day, the P&L line at the bottom of the profit and loss statement will show profitability, or they'll say like plus gain margins. And they want you to do 30% over what you did before. That's not going to happen the more natural way.
So I want people to kind of understand that, like, there have been times where ABK has had 30% profit margins, but look how ABK is ran. Look how Activision was ran before acquisition. Think about that for a moment. Sweatshot. Yep. Toys for Bob was a developer whose skill set as developers were platformers, but instead of making those kind of games, they were doing content for Call of Duty.
Yep.
And and they wanted their own independence after the acquisition. You know, the kind of developer or publisher you need to be in order to achieve these kind of results, which is all being really kind of like pushed by executives that are not like within the gaming hemisphere. Like, these aren't people that care about making quality content. They just care about whatever sells.
Yep.
They just care about whatever is going to make their bottom line look better. They don't really care about how you feel and what you want as a gamer. If you, and I explicitly put this game up because this is Compulsion South of Midnight, which I think is their very best game they've made. Yeah. They've made 2 games before this, Contrast and We Happy Few. And I feel like this game, music and sound design, fantastic. My only real complaint with this game, art direction, amazing. My only real complaint with this game was that I didn't think there was enough combat in the whole entire game, but great engaging story, super underrated, came out this year. This game never charted in any Circona charts. It never was considered a big seller. If you look at Circona charts right now, the year-to-date sales is nowhere near it. It's nowhere near the top 20. These aren't the kind of games that are valued when you have this kind of focus on 30% profit margins. So would you not want to see, you could say, hey, look, I thought South of Midnight was all right, but it wasn't my bag. Okay, that's fine. maybe you don't like bottle caps, or maybe you don't understand what bottle caps are. But maybe something else they make would be your bag, because they're a creative studio. But but instead of getting that, you got them making maps in Call of Duty or making maps in Halo, because either that or they're shut down, because having them develop a new IP or a game that's going to be less desirable is not what the company's looking for. That's a waste of resources as far as they're concerned.
Yep.
These kind of changes are changes that push towards, we got some really good IP and we want to make games for that IP and those IPs, and that's it. We're not really interested in a lot of other things. Take-Two is another publisher that at times has hit that 30% profit margin. And we see how Take-Two operates. People still asking for a Bully sequel. They ain't never going to get it.
Nope.
The only projects, at one point, Take-Two decided to create Private Division, which was a publishing arm subsidiary under Take-Two that would do the working with indie studios and making AA games and stuff like that. Yeah, they shut Private Division down earlier this year or late last year or something like that.
Year, yeah.
They're done with that. All they make is GTA, Red Dead, now Borderlands, because Borderlands always sells. Borderlands came in, Borderlands 4, number one in the United States, number one sold game of September, and immediately came in and became the third most profitable game. Sorry, not profitable, but the third most sold game in the United States this entire year in 1 month.
Yep.
That's all that Take-Two cares about. This is how you get to that point. And notice the companies that I mentioned that have hit that 30% profit margin, they don't make any hardware.
Nope.
So to go back to what we talked about when it comes to, are you going to get an Xbox? Sure, you're going to get an Xbox. You'll keep getting an Xbox. But remember how Sarah Bond described the Xbox Ally? She said, that's an Xbox.
Everything's an Xbox.
That's what you're getting. You're getting partnered experiences in the future. Because instead of having to do the R&D, instead of having to spend money manufacturing and distributing it, all they got to do is work with and share some of the resources on marketing, not have to pay for anything on R&D, and license out their brand to other companies.
That's true.
As far as they're concerned, that's a win-win. But do you think that's a win-win? Because when they're not subsidizing the cost, and you're spending, when this next console, I say that with quotation marks, it's a small form factor PC. When that thing comes out and it's $800 or more, because Sarah Bond told you this is going to be a curated, very high-end, very powerful. What's the other adjective she used again? Premium. A very premium experience. You're spending way more than what you spent for Xbox Series X.
Oh yeah, definitely that.
So think about these things
Just buy a PC
when it comes to what you're going to do in the future for what you want. Now, that doesn't mean I'm telling you, hey, stop enjoying Xbox games. No. Just determine for yourself how you want to engage in that. And trust me, if you say, man, I'm just going to build myself an actual PC and I'm engaged in those games like that, while also engaging in PC games that aren't anywhere else, or also engaging in the best performance out of all the multi-platform games and getting PlayStation games. All right, man. They're just fine with that too, by the way.
You do that,
That's
boo-boo.
exactly what they want you to do, because they don't care if you buy their hardware. And that's why they price it like that. So because if you're going to buy our hardware, you're going to make it worthwhile while to do it. Go ahead, man. You're about to say something.
No, that's I was just agreeing with you. I just this is all like, you know, we can't say facts because it's never happened, but this is the closest I'll get to a fact. I just think at this point, Microsoft is done with, like you said, subsidization of the system. They're done with, you know, messing around and losing money because they lost this is the thing. The division, Microsoft itself hasn't lost money, but the division, the arm of Xbox, has lost money consistently for them. They just been hiding it underneath the umbrella of everything else that's been going on with Microsoft. Yeah, they've been every once in a while, or, you know, a couple of times a year, they bring in record profits and record growth and stuff like that, but it's not consistent. And the thing
even
is,
then, it's not this. Even then, it's not this. It's not 30% profit margin.
no, it's not 30% profit margins. But
which, to be clear, some people have said, well, it's not necessarily straight up profit margin. I keep getting issues with YouTube resetting. Hold on a second, because I think
Windows,
it okay.
Microsoft and Windows getting us.
Right. It's an accountability margin is essentially like, basically you're not being held accountable for things that are out of your division's purview.
Right.
So essentially, this is the accountability of the gaming division itself. When Microsoft, when they talk to investors and they discuss their financial results for every quarter or for the fiscal year, they don't separate out Xbox. So we never know how much hardware is actually sold. We don't know what the current Game Pass subscription numbers are. We don't know, like they may tell us what the overall revenue was, and they may give us that what the profit margin numbers are, but they don't really, they have it included in other personal computing section. So there's a lot of other revenue that's generated there for other devices and other services. When you talk about accountability margins, what you're saying is you, Xbox division, have not been pulling up your weight, even though you've been profitable to a degree, but you ain't been profitable enough for us. So we're going to have to squeeze you a little bit more in order to get what we want. And according to the article, that's what's been going on since 2023. Now, what has started since 2023? Putting their games on PlayStation. All their games. No red lines. And look, I've been told, yeah, screw it, I'm gonna say it.
Go for it.
There's going to be another big layoff with them. It's going to happen. The people I knew that either got laid off in the last big layoff they had, and the people I know that are still there, they all knew it was coming. They all knew this layoff was coming months in advance, and they knew it wouldn't be the last one as well. So as they continue to keep going lean, sure, the games like Keeper just came out from Double Fine. And that's a small, very unique title. I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but people who played it said they love it. It's fantastic. They enjoy it. It's typical Double Fine.
Right.
But Keeper, like all games, was in development before this new mandate in 2023. where you should be concerned about, like saying, "Oh, well, we're getting this month. We got Keeper, and we're getting Outer Worlds 2, and you know, we're getting all these unique experiences. What's the problem?" Well, let's see if State of Decay 3 still comes out.
Oh shoot.
Let's see what the next, if the other Double Fine games they're working on, which are like I think 3 other projects, still come out. Let's see what Compulsion is working on next. Let's see if they survive the next cut. Then let's talk. Because this company doesn't care about how you feel about how creative their studios are, or how you feel like how they're delivering on that experience. They don't care about none of that. They care about making as much money as possible.
Money.
And that could be from you, or that could be from some other demographic that spends more money than you. But that's the where they're going. Next year, before Call of Duty comes out again, guess what's going to happen with Game Pass?
Oh Lord.
They're going to raise the price again.
Oh,
Because that's what they've done. Either that, or you might see them reneging on having Call of Duty and Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because that's what's been going. They don't care how you feel.
They want to do that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why they took it off of the. That's why they took Call of Duty out of the. What is that? What is that tier called?
The regular core, not core.
Standard? No,
standard. No, standard is core.
Whatever the
what's
middle tier is.
Essential.
Essential is the last tier. The middle one was the one that had day and date first party games, day one first party games. Now those games come a year later.
Well,
if you look at the fine print,
it was core, Game Pass, regular.
It's premium.
Game Pass.
It's premium.
Is the high one, isn't it? Oh, no, you're right.
No, the Ultimate is the highest one.
Yeah, it's called premium.
Premium. The premium tier had, before they renamed it, had day one Xbox first party games. If you look at the details in the little fine print for what premium is, you're getting day one Xbox first party games 12 months later. They're excluding Call of Duty. So you're only getting Call of Duty and Game Pass through Ultimate. Oh, and PC Game Pass. I'm telling next year, either one or two things are going to happen. Game Pass Ultimate's going up again, or you're getting Call of Duty and Game Pass a year later. They don't care, bro. So it just,
I don't think they care.
It's what it is. Anything else you want to say on this before we finish up, man?
No, man, that's it. We killed it. It's unfortunate, but that's what it's like. And it's not a doom or gloom scenario. It's just the fact that's just where Microsoft's been going. And it just only takes a little bit of inductive reasoning and understanding that this company, I just keep going back to, it's never been easier to recognize than when you go back to the business report and they asked about the 4 games. Are these the only 4 games? And he said, all we're doing is talking about these 4 games. And I was like, that is your, I said, that is your red flag, that there is more than 4 games. But so, and then that just kind of lets you know. And like I said, it's not that I don't think Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, that they didn't want the best in everything for Xbox. I just think at a certain point, the decisions are over their head at this point. And all of that stuff that we cared about and all the things that makes gaming what we want is gone from Microsoft, because when she says it's antiquated for exclusive games, that has never been a conversation. That's a conversation now because it fits the narrative of where you are at as a company right now, knowing that you have no power to keep your games or your own platform. Because guess what? Because if that was the case, Game Pass exists where our games will be where Game Pass exists would have never been a slogan, because then it would just been Game Pass is everywhere. So it doesn't matter. But no, Game Pass was only on platforms that you chose for it to be on. Play Xbox and Windows PC. It's not available on Steam like other things are, like, Ubisoft Play and EA Pro. All that stuff's available on Steam right now. But the fact, and guess what? At some point, Game Pass will be on Steam. It's going to be a curated version of it where it's only going to be Xbox titles, but at some point it will be on Steam. It's going to happen at some point, because that's kind of the direction Microsoft is moving in. Xbox themselves have no control over what happens with that platform going forward. They are just the mouthpieces that are speaking for the people that actually are making the decisions at this point.
Yeah. But that's I think we see a very different kind of behavior from Xbox leadership now, where they used to be very open and now they're not. I think it probably would have been better. They would have been better off. I heard this rumor. Well, it wasn't necessarily a rumor. I heard it from someone who actually worked there, and they thought, and I think I can say this now because I feel like it's not going to happen, but they knew there were talks to kind of spin Xbox off into its own subsidiary, like LinkedIn is under Microsoft, and then from there it kind of sinks and swim on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And they could be way more open. Or, I mean, they could be open now with the results of things, but they'd be financially liable to be open. And by the way, real quick, shout out to Spartan6616.
Let's go.
Gifting 5 DPS gaming memberships to, and if you got a membership, please thank Spartan. That was very, very generous of you, sir. Appreciate that. I kind of feel like they would have been better off if they were spun off as a subsidiary under Microsoft that way. Mm-hmm. But I think the acquisition of ABK threw all that out the window, and now, after you spent $69 billion, you have certain expectations that have nothing to do with understanding the industry. I think a lot of people right now that are making these decisions don't understand the gaming industry, which is why you see profit margins in all the other services and sectors of technology and tech industries that you are engaged in. And you say, why can't we get that with gaming?
Yeah.
And it's just a lack of understanding of what this gaming industry is, despite your huge salary and all the accomplishments you've made outside of gaming. You don't understand this industry well enough to be making these kind of demands and thinking that, like, it's really going to be super feasible. And I just want a lot of people to kind of be prepared for what comes from this, because what it really means is, in order to achieve that profit margin, you can achieve it. I don't think you want to see what that's going to look like, though, when it happens. Right. Let's go and get on out of here. Forte, what are you doing over the next week? Where can people find you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, next week is all starting to wind down. Tomorrow, working tomorrow morning, football game in the night. So pretty much probably just gonna be playing some stuff. Probably play some battle. But we need to jump on Battlefield probably after I get home tomorrow around like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So probably gonna be doing that tomorrow. Saturday is gonna be a long one. I'm pretty much gonna be at a competition all day for that. which is starting to wind down. So I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm kind of excited to like not have to run around doing band stuff, but that's gonna be cool. But outside of that, I think I'm gonna do IOP this weekend. I haven't talked to Addict to see because I've been working a lot over the weekend. That's one of the reasons I haven't been on there. But then I was on vacation last week. So outside of that, Battlefield, probably jump into some other games. Do you have that thumbnail made for your favorite game yet?
I have been. I
You've been
made a
tinkering?
couple.
Oh
And
Lord.
I said they are not good enough. I need
Oh,
to
okay.
outdo the last one.
So let me know. So I definitely was thinking about it the other day because I was like, I know we were talking about 2 weeks ago doing another stream of Death Stranding, but then I was going out of town and stuff. So I was like, yeah, we're not going to do it that week. So I do think I want to do a stream of Death Stranding. I'm off Tuesday and Wednesday next week. So one of those days is going to probably be the day it happens. I ain't got nothing really going on those days, but we'll keep you posted on that and let everybody know. But outside of that, man, really appreciate it. This was a great show. You guys have been pretty cool. Gregor says, need to be Kojima holding a baby Forte. Lord have mercy. And you know what? SloMo probably already thought about that.
Ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
We might need to do that.
but outside of that, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming through and hanging out with us. And once again, Spartan 616, appreciate the gifted subs. Like you said, everybody that got subs from them, make sure you say thank you. And then Cat Daddy with the $20 super chat earlier. Be safe on your drive to Little Rock, bro. Really appreciate that too. And all the different support you guys give us. But with that, we're out of here. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next week.
Yep. For myself, I will be doing episodes 3 and 4 of Dispatch next Wednesday. I'll try to go live a little bit earlier. I went live pretty late. I went live at like 10:30 Eastern Standard Time for the first 2 episodes, and each episode is about an hour, so yeah, they're pretty late. I think I want to try to go live around like 9 next Wednesday in order to try to, do episodes 3 and 4 at a little bit more reasonable time. If I can go earlier in the day, then I will, but look out for that next Wednesday. The Outer Worlds 2 comes out next week. I can't remember what exact day it comes out. Yeah, I think it might be the 28th.
I think it is the 28th.
Okay. I should definitely have Outer Worlds 1 finished by then. I might decide to just stream my entire playthrough of that. So if that ends up being the case, you guys will see a notification of that sometime next week. But snap. Hold on now. Let's go. Spartan 6616 with another 5 gifted memberships. If you just got a gifted membership from Spartan, please thank him, because this man out here is being his awesome self.
That's God.
Appreciate that, man. Right.
Appreciate it, bro.
Very, 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 very much appreciated. We're getting out of here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your games. And we out, man. Peace.
Peace.